Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today. First, we're going to try to explain Nick Reiner's fashion choices. Prosecutors seek a trial date in the Luigi mANGIONE case. And oh yeah, somebody tried to check Mr. mANGIONE out. We got a guy charged with a triple homicide. That's not good. A woman charged for assaulting a pregnant woman. 3 arrested for an alleged revenged murder. We've got this day in legal history, our quote of the day, and our dumb criminal. Let's talk about it.
Lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below and hit that little bell for notifications. And yes, you can check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps. I don't know about you, but it is Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, and it has been a long week. As I mentioned, I think on our Tuesday Night Live program, I was supposed to be in a murder for hire trial this week. I thought I was going to have a light week. No, it's amazing how quickly things get filled in. And I have spent the last 2 days at the shoe. You may say, what is the shoe? Are you getting a new pair of shoes, Scott? What are you doing? No, the shoe is the special housing unit. That's where your clients go when they're in federal custody and they don't really play well with others. And, well, you get to go talk to them in a little room about the size of this desk. Of course, you can't pass anything through, completely escorted, videotaped the whole time, because you never know when your client could break out. Anyway, it's been a long couple of days, but I'm glad you're here with us today. Before we get to today's docket, let me remind you that if you order any merchandise between now and Monday, your names will go into a drawing, and we are going to award $100 cash. If you want cash or you want it Venmo to you, we'll do that as well. So order, remember the little keychain, $5, spend $5, chance you're going to maybe get randomly selected for 100. Not too bad odds. All right. Let me also remind you to go to crimetalkprep.com. When you do, you can sign up for your emergency food supply. And when you sign up, you get a kit of $400 of free gear, from stoves to solar powered chargers and batteries. It's amazing. Because let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, when the storm hits, when the city gets shut down, the electricity goes out, nobody's coming. You're on your own, probably for at least 72 hours. Are you prepared? Go to crimetalkprep.com. Get your emergency food supply today. You're going to be happy that you did. And, you're going to be prepared. And when everybody else is like, oh, we don't have any food, you're going to say, don't, we got it covered. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Let's go ahead and open the record for Thursday, January 29th, 2026. And first on the docket, Nick Reiner and his fashion choices. That's right. Nick Reiner, the 32-year-old son of director Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner, as you may recall, appeared in court back on December 17th, wearing a distinctive blue anti-suicide smock during his first court appearance, following the charges of 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his parents. Obviously, for those who haven't heard, but I'll repeat it again, the couple was discovered deceased, murdered in their Brentwood residence back on December 14th, with the Los Angeles County medical examiner determining that the cause of death of both of them was homicide due to multiple sharp force injuries inflicted by a knife. Now, Nick Reiner was arrested shortly thereafter and has been held without bond since that time. Prosecutors have also alleged special circumstances, including multiple murders and the use of a dangerous weapon, which could result in a sentence of life imprisonment and even the death penalty, although very unlikely. Anyway, his anti-suicide smock, his fashion choices, is referred to as a suicide prevention vest or gown, and it's a specialized garment utilized in correctional and detention facilities to mitigate the risk of self-harm among individuals. Now, it features a sleeveless padded design with an adjustable opening at the shoulders and is secured by nylon hooks and loops rather than traditional fasteners. Constructed from thick, tear-resistant material, the smock provides warmth while preventing the wear from easily forming ligatures, rolling the fabric into a noose, or employing other common methods of self-injury. Now, these such garments are standards in high security environments, including jails, psychiatric facilities, and even military settings for like POWs. And they're often assigned based upon medical or psychological evaluations, indicating the elevated suicide risk rather than solely on prior attempts. Now, if you've ever been in a holding cell with a client that's in one of these suicide smocks, it's kind of uncomfortable. All right. It's like talking to somebody in a hospital gown. You never know if something's going to pop out. You're going to get a peek at something because they are kind of loose fitting, and they usually have like Velcro and stuff on them. I don't know. It's just very an unawkward thing. And usually the client's not in a very good spot to do that. And just like in the Reiner case, when they do show up to court like that, their hair, they always got the bed head. They look like they're, coming off of something. It's really just a way to say to everybody, yes, I'm a danger to the community and myself. Okay. So rule of thumb, if you got to go to jail, try to avoid, having to wear the suicide smock. All right. So like I said, Reiner, he appeared in the smock and shackles behind the protective glass. Yeah. Throw in the glass with the shackles and the smock. It's yelling. You might as well have it put on the front of the smock saying, I am a danger to you and me. Don't let me out. All right. That's what it's saying to everybody and their brothers. All right. Now, obviously, when he was in court, he did not enter a plea, and he waived his right to a speedy arraignment. Therefore, once they get the psychological issues worked out, he'll be in that suit in no time. I can see it now. The public defenders will be saying, we need to have him wear a suit to court because it's going to prejudice everybody, particularly Mr. Reiner, if he is not in a suit. Somebody started this trend. I think it was the Lori Vallow case with Chad Daybell, and now everybody gets it. At least the high-profile cases. Now, obviously, people familiar with the case have indicated that Reiner has obviously a documented history of substance abuse, including multiple rehabilitation admissions, as well as mental health challenges, including periods of a mental health conservatorship as recently as 2020 and treatment for a serious psychiatric condition, such as schizophrenia, with recent medication adjustments noted prior to the incident. Now, while there's been no official statement detailing the precise rationale for the smock's use in this instance, its application obviously aligns with protocols for detainees who are in vulnerable, high profile and emotionally charged cases where they are a threat to themselves and to others. We do know that Reiner has been removed from the suicide watch status as early as January, so just a couple of weeks ago, with his anti-suicide smock discontinued for the standard jail attire. He remains in solitary confinement with high observation housing units at the Twin Towers. The arraignment is set for next week after his initial defense attorney, Alan Jackson, withdrew and the public defenders took over the case. Now, the another thing is everybody's going to have to deal with, and when it becomes this situation with Mr. Reiner, is that if he is schizophrenic and he is not getting the medications that he possibly needs, then we got a real problem. Okay. I can tell you, I just spent several hours with somebody that has been diagnosed with schizophrenia, and it's 2 hours of your life that you will never get back. You're not sure what the heck the conversation was about, but certainly wasn't what you were talking about. And, you got to raise competency issues, immediately. And if you've never dealt with it, it's rather interesting because they want to talk about everything else except what we need to talk about. Usually it's, the paranoia, completely irrelevant stuff. It just is absolutely ridiculous as to what goes on when somebody has schizophrenia. So if anyone has a family member or something like that with it, I'm telling you, my heart goes out to you. You probably have the patience of Job, and you're a much better person than I am because I was, getting frustrated. I'm not going to lie. Next on the docket, Manhattan prosecutors seek a trial date as early as July in the Luigi Mangione case. And wait till you hear what somebody tried to do. That's right. So the Manhattan prosecutors have formally requested that the state murder trial for Luigi Mangione, obviously the man accused of shooting the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, commence on July 1st. This proposal aims to prioritize the state proceedings over the parallel federal case where the jury selection is tentatively scheduled to begin on September 8th. Now, in a letter submitted to the state Supreme Court Justice Gregory Caro, Assistant District Attorney Joel Siedelman emphasized that further postponement of the state trial until after the federal proceedings would unfairly prejudice the state's interest. He noted that the state's authorities participated in the investigation from its inception, whereas federal prosecutors became involved approximately 2 weeks following the incident and filed charges shortly after the state indictment. The prosecutors cited legal precedents supporting the state's position to proceed first, underscoring an overriding interest in adjudicating the alleged cold-blooded execution of Thompson within the state of New York, their jurisdiction. Additionally, under a New York law, double jeopardy protections could preclude a subsequent state trial if a federal jury is impaneled or the federal case concludes with a guilty plea. I don't believe so. Separate sovereigns, separate crimes, enhancing factors, not really a concern, but good argument to the judge, needless to say. Anyway, the scheduling request follows a recent federal court hearing where the U.S. District Judge Margaret Garnett outlined timelines for the federal case. Jury selection in that matter is scheduled to begin on September 8th, with the trial's main phase opening statements and testimony scheduled for October 13th. If the death penalty is not pursued, or January 11th, 2027, if capital punishment remains an option. Capital cases typically involve more extensive preparation due to their complexity. Yeah, more mitigation. That's about it. This is not a complicated case. It is not. It is a simple case. I mean, think about it. Let's say that Mr. Mangione allegedly went up to the CEO and punched him in the back of the head. Do you think we would spend all this time, dragging this case out for a year and a half? Of course not. All right. Let's face it. Murder is usually an assault gone bad, a simple assault gone bad. Here, he shot him in the back as he was walking away from him. And then he fled the scene. They were able to track him down. He had the gun. He had his little memoirs of his alleged confession, preparation plan, consciousness of guilt with him. This is a 1-week trial where I reside and do cases, ladies and gentlemen. Now, New York will certainly make it more difficult. The feds will make it a little more difficult, but not as complicated as somewhere, like California or something like that. Maybe it goes 2 weeks. That's about it. So it's not a complicated case. I get it. You get super due process when the death penalty is on the table, and that's on the table in the federal system. It's not on the table anymore because the judge threw it out in the state court system for Luigi Mangione. So let's go try the case, and let's have cameras in there too. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Mangione's case, he faces state charges, including intentional murder, which carry a potential sentence of life imprisonment without parole. He has entered pleas of not guilty in both the state and federal cases. And the state case's next hearing is anticipated in May, when Justice Caro is expected to rule on defense motions to exclude certain evidence. I can tell you how that's going to come out. Denied. Now, prosecutors have asserted readiness to proceed by July, with a remaining pretrial matter resolved in the interim. Needless to say, the defense is going to say, oh, no, it's a complicated case, Judge. We need time. We're so much work to do. Busy. We got to work on mitigation. We're still doing evaluations. We're still doing testing. There's no possible way we could probably do this case until early 2027. Oh, that's when we're going to do the death penalty case. So sometime next summer. Mark my words, that'll be the argument. It would be shocking if the defense said, let's go. And I've told you this before, and I'll say it again. Sometimes the best defense in a murder case is say, let's go, because the prosecution usually isn't ready as well, and they expect the defense to continue the case. Because this case occurred back on December 4th of 2024 when Thompson was fatally shot from behind by the alleged masked assailant, Luigi Mangione, while walking to a Midtown Manhattan hotel for the United Health Group's investor conference. Surveillance footage captured the entire event on video, and police recovered shell casings inscribed with the phrase delay, deny, and depose, allegedly referencing common criticism of insurance claims practices. Now, Mangione was apprehended 5 days later at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and evidence cited by the prosecution includes a 9mm handgun purportedly matching the murder weapon. Coincidence? I think not. Along with a notebook containing entries describing intent to target a health insurance executive. Consciousness of guilt, perhaps? In related developments, Mangione's defense team has described the proposed July 1st state trial date as unrealistic, citing the need for additional preparation amid the impending federal proceedings. The federal hearing for that is scheduled Friday, when Judge Garnett will address pretrial issues, including the viability of the death penalty and the admissibility of various contested evidence, i.e. the same stuff that the state tried to, or the defense tried to have suppressed in the state case. And now, on a bizarre related development, federal court filings say a man was arrested on Wednesday for allegedly impersonating an FBI agent and trying to secure Luigi Mangione's release from the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where he is being held. According to the affidavit that's been unsealed today, the man, identified as Mark Anderson, approached the intake area and claimed that he was an FBI agent with paperwork signed by a judge authorizing the release of a specific inmate. A federal law enforcement source has told the news that the inmate was, in fact, Luigi Mangione. When officers asked for credentials, Anderson allegedly showed a Minnesota's driver's license and then claimed he had weapons. The affidavit says he also displayed and threw at officers numerous documents related to filing claims against the Department of Justice. After Anderson was detained, a backpack in his possession was searched, and authorities say it contained a large barbecue-type fork and a round steel blade. Anderson was taken into custody, and law enforcement has stated that Mr. Anderson, who's 36, from Mankato, Minnesota, and had traveled to New York to have a job opportunity that didn't quite work out, and so he's been working in a pizzeria. Anyway, meanwhile, Mangione remains in custody, awaiting trial, and the prosecutors and the courts continue to map out which case goes first. Can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. I guess when he wanted to go back to Minnesota and things didn't want to go out, he's going to take a gift with him. He's going to take Luigi Mangione. Luigi Mangione. He's free. Next, a man charged with a triple homicide. Let's jump to Churchville, Pennsylvania. Police have formally charged Kevin Carl Castaglia, who's 55, with 3 counts of criminal homicide following the fatal stabbing of his elderly parents and sister inside their home in Churchville, a community within the Northampton Township of Bucks County. Now, the incident came to light on January 26th of this year when the Northampton Township Police responded to a well-being check requested at the residence by neighbors. The call originated from the boyfriend of the 53-year-old Deborah Castaglia, who has been unable to contact her for several days. According to the Bucks County District Attorney's Office, the boyfriend has visited the home the previous day, observed Deborah's vehicle in the driveway, but received no response despite repeated knocking. Upon returning the following day, the boyfriend reportedly encountered Kevin Castaglia at the door, dressed in a robe. Castaglia allegedly claimed his sister was on vacation before displaying a large chef's knife, described in some reports to resemble the style feature in the film Psycho, and issuing threats, including warnings that the boyfriend would be killed if he returned. This prompted the boyfriend to leave the scene and immediately notify police, and police arrived shortly thereafter and confronted Mr. Castaglia, who was then armed with 2 knives, one bearing visible blood. When officers deployed a stun gun, Castaglia reportedly removed the probes and retreated into the home, initiating a standoff that lasted approximately 5 hours. Police eventually entered the residence and took Castaglia into custody. And inside the home, officers discovered the bodies of Castaglia's parents, 90-year-old Fred, 84-year-old Judith. They were both in the master bedroom, along with Deborah, deceased, in the kitchen. Now, the district attorney's office stated that the investigation determined that Kevin had stabbed his parents while they slept and subsequently killed his sister upon her discovery of the bodies. Following his arrest, Castaglia was transported to the hospital for medical evaluation. Records indicate that he made incriminating statements to medical staff, first remarking, quote, "I hurt someone," and later confessing, quote, "I killed my parents in their sleep," end quote. "And I killed my sister when she found them," end quote. He allegedly repeated these admissions to police after his release from medical care. Kevin Casagia has been arraigned on 3 counts each of homicide, abuse of a corpse, terroristic threats, and recklessly endangering another person. 2 counts of possession of an instrument of crime with the intent, 6 counts of simple assault, and 1 count of resisting arrest. Needless to say, he remains in custody. Now, the Bucks County District Attorney's Office have described the case as involving a brutal slaying of the victims in the family home. Needless to say, the investigation continues and there could be additional charges. Obviously, a little tragic event there in the small community. But hey, I don't know about you, but have you noticed it seems like there's been a lot more stabbings lately? Is it just me, or does it seem like there's a lot more people getting stabbed lately? Next, let's go to Racine, Wisconsin, where police have charged Mariela Barrios, 38, with multiple felonies following alleged violent assault on a pregnant woman outside her workspace in Racine on January 15th. Of course, the incident was captured on surveillance footage involving the use of a metal baseball bat and targeting blows to the victim's abdomen. According to the criminal complaint filed in Racine County, Barrios is accused of directing her alleged accomplice to beat the baby out and kill the baby during the attack on Genoa Lacey, a caregiver at a group home who was approximately 25 weeks pregnant with her 3rd child at the time. Lacey reported that she was heading to her vehicle to warm it up after an overnight shift around 7 a.m. when the 2 masked individuals approached her suddenly. She described being knocked to the ground, struck repeatedly with a bat, kicked and stomped upon, with particular emphasis on protecting her stomach from the blows. Surveillance footage from the building there included the ring camera footage reportedly depicts the suspects sneaking up on Lacey before the assault commenced. Lacey identified Barrios as one of the attackers after the assailant's face mask reportedly slipped during the incident, and she attributed the attack to a prior relationship dispute involving Barrios, whom she described as having engaged in stalking behavior. Following the assault, Barrios allegedly submitted a written statement to Racine police denying involvement and asserting that Lacey's accusations were completely false. She was arrested on January 23rd in Arkansas alongside another woman accused of harboring her. Barrios now faces charges including substantial battery with the use of a dangerous weapon, aggravated battery to an unborn child, and armed robbery with use of force stemming from the alleged theft of Lacey's cell phone during the attack. Lacey was hospitalized after the incident, has been under close medical monitoring for both her injuries as well for her well-being and her unborn child. Her employer initiated a GoFundMe campaign to support her recovery. Lacey has apparently expressed lasting distress from the event, stating that the memory replays frequently and highlighting her prior sense of safety during her pregnancy. Now, as of January, Racine police continue to search for the second suspect, described as a male who participated in the assault. Barrios, who appeared smiling in her booking photo following her arrest, is awaiting extradition back to Wisconsin to stand the charges. Next, 3 arrested for a revenge murder involving a puppy purchase. Let's go to South Carolina. Police in Florence County, South Carolina, have arrested 3 individuals in connection with the homicide of 40-year-old Dana Marie Kinlaw, who was reportedly shot and set on fire inside her vehicle on January 22nd after being lured under the pretense of purchasing a puppy. Now, the Florence County Sheriff's Office identified the suspect as Iriana Jerish Fleming, DeQuinn Taheen Thomas of Effingham, South Carolina, and Nico Christopher Caraway. Each faced charges of murder, first-degree arson, and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. Fleming and Thomas were arrested on the day of the incident, while Caraway was taken into custody on January 28th. All 3 are now detained in the local detention center. Now, what we know is deputies responded to a report of a vehicle on fire about 5:45 p.m. Near an intersection. And this was in Effington, South Carolina, which is about 65 miles northwest of Myrtle Beach. Upon arrival, they discovered Kinlaw deceased inside the burning vehicle. The coroner's office confirmed her identity as a resident of a nearby city, and an autopsy conducted by the medical examiners determined the cause of death as homicide involving a gunshot wound, followed by incendiary damage, which is code for they killed her and then they set her on fire, ladies and gentlemen. The sheriff there stated that Kinlaw believed she was traveling to view a puppy to purchase, and Fleming, described as an acquaintance of the victim, reportedly accompanied her to the location. And instead of a legitimate transaction, investigators alleged Kinlaw was shot at close range. A flammable liquid was then poured on her body, and the vehicle was ignited with her obviously inside. Obviously, it's being investigated as a retaliatory killing linked to a prior homicide in neighboring Darlington County, approximately 35 miles away. The sheriff indicated that Kinlaw's son may have had some involvement in that earlier case, prompting this act of reprisal. Police noted the connections between the suspects and the arrest made in Lake City related to the Darlington County matter. Just goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have crimetalksearch.com, this would be a good reason to do it. You're going to go meet somebody. Who are you meeting? Maybe at least get a name, from their Facebook page or something. Check them out. See if maybe they're going to come and whack you and set you on fire in your own car. Anyway, go to crimetalksearch.com. It empowers people to make informed decisions and avoid risky situations by verifying backgrounds beforehand. Needless to say, this investigation remains ongoing with no additional details released regarding the motive. Anyway, Kinlaw's death prompted community concerns in this farming region, underscoring the importance of vigilance and due diligence when engaging others from online. Next, this day in legal history, January 29th, 1945, Wheeler versus the United States is decided. The court affirmed the traditional two-witness corroboration safeguard in federal perjury cases, rejecting conviction based solely on the uncorroborated testimony of a single witness. How about a quote of the day? Quote, "The life of the law has not been logic. It has been experience." End quote. Oliver Wendell Holmes, who served as an associate justice on the United States Supreme Court from 1902 to 1932, emphasizing that legal principles evolve through practical application, societal needs, and historical circumstances, rather than through abstract reasoning alone. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's go to Massachusetts. Anyway, in the city of Barnstable, police arrested a Nantucket resident on drug trafficking charges after an attempted vehicle theft led to the discovery of a large quantity of cocaine in the suspect's car, followed by the search of his home that uncovered, more narcotics and cash. This all went down on January 6th. An unidentified man reportedly finding suspected drugs and later admitted he had broken into a Kia in Hyannis, a commuter lot, intended to steal it. Unable to start the car, though, he opened the trunk, found a duct tape package in its target bag, recognized it as narcotics, and turned it over to police. Investigators identified the owner as Edwin Gillespie of Nantucket. Surveillance on January 8th captured Gillespie accessing the trunk, inspecting the spare tire compartment, and partially dismantling it before his arrest for trafficking of over 200 grams of cocaine. Of course, he denied any knowledge of the drugs whatsoever. A subsequent search of Gillespie's residence, assisted by the United States Coast Guard and the Cape Cod DEA, recovered approximately 2.5 kilos of cocaine, 2.4 ounces of amphetamines, pills, and $10,000 in cash. Police believe he planned to transport that drugs to Nantucket. Because everybody knows, ladies and gentlemen, the only difference between Nantucket and the hood drugs, they're just a little better quality on Nantucket because it's really expensive there. The lovely Miss Kristen and I were there a couple years ago, and it's lovely. It's a beautiful place. It really is. But I remember paying $1,800 for a room that literally would be $300 anywhere else in the country. That's how crazy it is. Anyway, additional charges related to the home seizure are expected in the Nantucket District Court. Now, the reporting individual has not been publicly identified and remains unclear whether he will face charges, for the attempted theft. Probably, no, he probably worked it off. I was going to steal the car, but I found the drugs, and by God, I may steal things, but I know drugs are bad for you. That's what this unidentified individual is saying. But either way, both of you gentlemen, you're a dumb criminal of the day. Congratulations, you made it. All right, that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, the Constitution matters.